All right, we're back.
Take two.
Take two. Shannon's coughing attack is under control. And as I was saying, at the moment, if it happens again, we're going to let you go and I'll just I'll wax on. But you've been on the road. You went to a very exciting autism conference.
Yeah, we were in Texas and we went to the Future Horizons Autism Super Conference.
Right.
Amazing speakers. We had an opportunity to sit down with the 4 biggest speakers that they had at the event, which was Alexis Weinman. She is the amazing Miss America pageant contestant. She was Miss Montana. 2 years ago in the Miss America pageant, she was voted America's Choice by America. And I was just saying to you, I was so impressed with her. I can't wait for you to meet her at some point. You will love her. I could have just I adopted her.
Yeah.
She was just so funny and witty and adorable and well-spoken.
And she is on the autism spectrum, obviously.
Yeah, diagnosed with PDD-NOS as a child and had a lot of issues as a teenager, and decided to become a contestant for Miss Montana 2 weeks before the pageant, and did it for the scholarship money.
Okay.
Won it, and truly is an inspiration to girls all over the country. She's just delightful and down to earth. This girl is down to earth. She was never a makeup girl.
Right.
She's just lovely. So we interviewed her. We got an opportunity to meet in person Dr. Jed Baker, who we've had on the show before. He is the author of that book that we've all been talking about, Overcoming Anxiety in Children and Teens. Amazing, amazing doctor. Loved meeting with him. Kara Kaczynski, who's been a regular on the show, she's the Pocket OT. We got an opportunity to meet her for the first time in person.
Okay.
She's delightful. And then, of course, Temple Grandin.
Yes, hence the cows.
Hence the cows. We have
signed by Temple.
We have these fabulous 4 cows signed by Temple. We're giving one of them to Autism Care and Treatment Today to auction at Denim and Diamonds, and then the other 3 we're going to be giving to viewers. So stay tuned on our Facebook page to find out how you could potentially win a signed Temple Grandin cow.
It's great.
And we had such a good time with Temple. You know, we had an opportunity to sit down and interview her, as we've done many times before, but we had asked for a little bit more time this time with Temple, because you guys write in all the time and ask about, who's the woman. We want to know the person, Temple Grandin, not necessarily the speaker. And so we had a wonderful time. We got to have lunch with Temple. Temple took me to task as a parent, gave me all kinds of parenting advice, and took me to task
on what?
About my apron strings. This is no shock to anybody.
Okay.
About how tight my apron strings are tied, and got me to loosen them a little bit right there at lunch.
Okay.
And then we had an opportunity to go for a drive with Temple, all of which we recorded, a la Jerry Seinfeld in cars getting comedians coffee, something like that.
Yeah.
So all of that's going to be coming to you guys in the coming weeks, but it was amazing.
Okay.
It was
great.
eye-opening.
Can't wait to see it.
And then, as I was saying with Dr. Gramshay, on Thursday, Jem and I were invited to go to NASA in Houston and to get a very specific guided tour by the one of the people who is flight director for the International Space Station. So that, we've got pictures I'm going to show you guys tomorrow. But it was amazing. But we were gone for a really long time, and I came back sick. So what can you do?
Well, we missed you around the halls here.
Well, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back. We're here. And you had a lot of stuff going on this last week. You've got a lot of really exciting in the news for us this week.
Yeah. Interesting that you were talking about Alexis, is it?
Yes, Alexis Weinman.
Because one of the articles that came to our attention is that there is a study, and I believe we've covered a study like this before, but this was in the Open Access Journal, Autism Research and Treatment, and it found that the stress is higher for parents of girls with autism than it is for boys with autism. That while stress in general parents experience higher levels of stress, obviously, in comparison to parents of neurotypical children. They are susceptible to negative health and social outcomes. The parents themselves, they're more likely to experience depression, anxiety, sleeping complaints, isolation, and burnout, which I'm sure many of our viewers are familiar with as parents of children with autism. But they do say that with girls, the research has found that it is much higher for parents of girls.
Yeah.
And it says this is especially important for parents of girls with ASD because they may lack mental health services that target and address parental stress. So
what I thought was interesting was the study seemed to suggest that what they believe to be causing that extra stress is the fact that girls are typically not diagnosed
till
until
later. Yes.
And that there is a disparity in the amount of services for girls, both because of that, because the later you get diagnosed, the harder it is to get access to early intensive behavioral intervention, which we know is the most effective scenario, and that there just isn't as much tailored to girls.
No. So they're getting later diagnosis, and then they're having a harder time connecting to treatment services and identifying social support.
Yeah.
Social support is very key in this. A lot of times I think boys can get by with being a little bit more quirky loners.
Right.
And for girls, that girl bonding is so important, I think, to feel like you belong to a group.
Yeah.
And a lot of these girls feel isolated.
In your social circle, I mean, I've watched this happen, and I'm sure you see this among the girls at Wyatt's school. I mean, there's movies. Girls are mean.
Yeah.
Girls are mean, and they tend to be much more judgmental of other girls, and that doesn't stop in junior high school.
No.
I mean, we see that as professionals
Throughout life.
Yeah. Girls can be mean. And boys, it's not that boys can't be mean too, but a lot of times boys are oblivious to some of the social things. It's just not as much of a big deal to them.
They're not as hurt by it. They're not as sensitive.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but whenever I meet a family and they've got girls on the spectrum, I always say to them, man, I really feel for you.
Yeah.
And they always go, why? And I say, because I know it's been hard enough for us, and there was stuff for us. And I know usually a family will say, well, they had this program, but there were 15 boys in the class, and it was just going to be my daughter with 15 boys.
Right. And I'm sure that in a lot of either social groups or therapy groups or even at schools, you find that there's just so much fewer girls in the classrooms, in some of those special needs classrooms or whatever.
Makes it hard.
Yeah.
Especially hard. And this study also suggests too that there's been some recent research leaning towards that when there are fewer girls on the spectrum, but that they tend to have a more profound effect.
Yeah.
That their issues on the spectrum tend to be more life consuming.
Right. So something needs to be done about that. So we have the study now. What are the answers?
Yeah.
Okay, last time we were here 2 weeks ago, you and I kind of went off on our feelings on the hotly discussed and in the news book by author Steve Silberman, Neurotribes, The Legacy of Autism and the Future of Neurodiversity.
And I will say this too, before we jump too far into this, many of you have written in and asked, are we going to have Steve Silberman on the show? And I'm totally open to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally open to it.
There has been, though, quite a bit of backlash. Shannon and I expressed our kind of outrage, really, I guess, that he seemed to say that he thinks autism is not an epidemic. He believes that it's because of better diagnosis, and he believes that these were the sort of scruffy nerds, the science geeks that have a strange gift that were not recognized before. And this particular article says that Few things have been more surreal to the parent of a severely autistic child than the neurodiversity rhetoric that culminated in his book. And that no one is contesting the achievements of the scruffy geniuses he writes about or denying that they should be celebrated. The question is whether a comprehensive 480-page account of the legacy of autism should have devoted more space to those with low-functioning autism. According to the CDC, 40% of those with autism are intellectually disabled, and Autism Speaks reports that 30% are nonverbal, and over half of children with autism suffer from aggressive and or self-injurious behaviors. So there was a lot of backlash, and some of the comments I think are worth noting. Some of these posts, these are not, names aren't noted here, but I'd just like to read a few of these because I think they're very important. 9/11/15, got a call this afternoon that my son attacked his bus driver, ripped her shirt, broke her necklace, and I know scared the blank out of her. He is strapped in the bus for obvious safety reasons, but because he was really slapping his head hard, the bus driver stopped and went back to see if they could calm him down. I'm not sure if they unstrapped him or if he just got a hold of the driver because she got too close. My son shouldn't be hurting other people or himself. I'm just hoping he doesn't come down from his room until my husband gets home. 9/18/15, my heart is breaking because my beautiful daughter does so well for a while, and then she explodes and hurts everyone around her, including herself, destroys the house with her head. I had to come home from a council meeting tonight because she was out of control. She's asleep now, but who knows for how long. She's 17, strong beyond belief. She loves us. We love her, but she is destroying us. 9/4/15, I am physically and mentally exhausted. He is 21 and has been a poor sleeper for most of his life. Since about age 17, it has been up and down, but by then I was already the lightest sleeper in the world. His OCD is so bad at the moment that he literally sleeps for an hour at a time and then gets up looking for things to tidy or throw down the stairs. When he can't find anything, he strips himself and his bed. I had an ongoing migraine for a week. I want to scream. People wonder why I haven't found a residential placement for him, but it would be too cruel for him and me. I can't bear the thought of being upset or mistreated, as he has no way of letting us know. He loves nothing more than being with us, especially his dad. If my husband goes to put on his shoes, then B is up and putting his on in a second too. When he goes out with him, he will stand at the window and cry and hit himself when the father goes out. He gets in our own bed every night before he goes to his room. We try to get him to his bed, but he shakes his head. And if we insist, he will punch himself in the head, bite himself, or attack us. When do we get a break? Here's another post. I had to get E early again today. They had to have 3 teachers keep her control as she was spitting and sometimes ate paper and spit it at people, pinching, hitting, smacking other kids, running off, slapping one teacher. I only cried a little this time. Guess it gets easier to take each year. 8/25/15, a post. You know I love my little girl more than anything, but I hate autism so much. I hate nothing comes natural. It all has to be taught. I hate the meltdowns and lashing out. I hate the self-injury. I hate that even with meds, we still have nights and we're up all night. I hate the isolation, not having a normal life, just simple things we can't do. I hate that she can't speak or even understand me. I hate that she won't eat and lives off Pediasure. What I really want for her more than anything is happiness, basic happiness, to be able to take her places without all the screaming. Even if she is in a damn stroller, happy flapping away, I don't care, as long as she is happy. Let them stare all they want. I will always hate autism. I swear if she could just be happy, or happy a good bit of the time, maybe everything else wouldn't make me so sad. Sorry, I just have to vent. 8/14/15. Oh my God, my daughter is driving me crazy. She will not sit still. Been trying to break into the kitchen. I've had to replace the mayo 3 times this week. There's some other things here regarding some body function she has done. 3 more days. She won't let me turn on lights. We're sitting in the dark. Another post, our house has been spent shredding books we love. Tomorrow we will be spent asking for these books. 7/26/15, the OCD is seriously killing me. Today he wanted up on the dresser, down off the dresser, up on the dresser, then sitting on the edge of the bed with my feet crossed. Who can live this way forever? Even when he's not angry, he's hitting me when he's excited or wants a reaction. I get tired of trying to redirect to something more appropriate, and I'm just taking it now. I just go to my happy place and I take it. What I hate the most is not enjoying a single minute with my son. These posts go on and on and on, and I just think that Steve Silberman, I would love to have him on the show, but I'm really curious as to why he has not seemingly received a greater reality check from the average parent of a child with autism, I would even say, of even a child that's high functioning to moderate. I think he is definitely in his book focusing on a very small portion of the autism community. And this is not to say, I won't speak for you, that I don't consider the gifts that my son has. But if you put yourself for a minute in the shoes of these parents, they're not seeing gifts. They're seeing a lifetime of struggle. They're seeing a lifetime of isolation and despair. And when their kids get older, they are seeing that tunnel where the falling off the cliff, where they will no longer be there for these children. And where will their children be? So Steve Silberman, I'd like to know what you have to say to these parents.
Well, and I want to say this. I have not read Neurotribes yet, and I intend to at some point. I've not read it yet, and so I don't feel equipped to comment on the book.
I've read portions of it.
But I will say this. What it all brings home to me is that we are trying still to use one word to describe such a vast spectrum, and we keep offending everyone on this spectrum with our lack of ability to communicate what this spectrum is. I cannot wait for the day when we have phenotyped autism and we are no longer using the word autism. Mm-hmm. That when we start calling, and I for one feel the loss of, I understand why they did it in the DSM-5, but the loss of the term Asperger's to delineate,
yes.
Oh, this is not the kind of autism that my child has,
right?
Or, but I think that needs to happen times 350 so that people can then say, oh, well, I have Peterman excellence or whatever it is, that I'm somebody who has gifts and I can, count cards and I have the ability to see things from a 360-degree perspective, but somebody else can say, oh, my child doesn't have that. My child has autism 3, 4, 5. And then we all know, oh, that's a vastly different thing. We just keep trying to use one word. And in using that one word, we keep hurting each other. And that's the thing that makes me really sad, is that these parents have been hurt enough. I don't think they need to be hurt anymore by our society going, oh, your child should be able to be a savant. And you haven't gotten them to that.
It instills in them a sense of guilt.
Yeah.
That they don't see the gift of some of these situations, and that they haven't done enough maybe to recover their children, which is sold from the time that your child is diagnosed.
And it creates other problems. We saw, and this is what our next article is about that goes hand in hand, we saw in the last couple of weeks, we covered on this show the circumstances of the boy whose neighbors were suing, saying that he was a public nuisance because he had autism. That the judge has now met with all the complainants and the family and said, you need to go solve this elsewhere. This is a ridiculous lawsuit. But in our current society, where we're having people say it's a gift and other people say, hey, wait a second, not for me, it's not.
I don't want you in this neighborhood.
It leaves room for these kinds of things. And I love this article that Bonnie Zampino wrote, My Son Has the Kind of Autism That No One Talks About. And she says, because we are not yet aware, and I believe this, for, when people say, oh, autism awareness, do we really need that? Yeah. She says, because for every boy with autism who manages his high school basketball team, there are 20 boys with autism who smear feces. Mm-hmm. That's the reality, folks.
Yeah.
And for every girl with autism who gets to be on the homecoming court, there are 30 girls with autism who pull out their hair and bite their arms until they bleed. And I think that we need to embrace all aspects of this. That doesn't mean that we don't celebrate that homecoming queen.
No, it doesn't. But we need to understand that for a lot of us parents, we don't have the type of child who falls on the spectrum where that homecoming queen does.
Right.
And she goes on to say, we aren't aware. Yeah. And no, we aren't. One of the plaintiffs in this case had said, we're not upset about him being autistic. We are concerned and upset about his violence toward our children. There is no way to be upset by this child's behaviors and not be upset about autism. She said, autism and behaviors go hand in hand. Why? The behaviors are communication. Individuals with autism often can't communicate in a way that typically functioning people can understand. So they do things to get their needs met, and often the things they do are scary and violent. We aren't aware, and we aren't aware of those. She goes on to write that her son, who is the same age as the child in the story, in the lawsuit, was extremely aggressive when he was younger, as was mine. He did all of the things that the child involved in the lawsuit did. Her son ran after other children on the playground just to push them down. He hit, he kicked, he bit, he pulled hair, and I never knew what was coming. For the longest time, I would flinch when he ran up to me. I didn't know whether he was going to hug me or hit me. Can you imagine, as a mom, what that's like to flinch when your child runs to you? We aren't aware. And going on, and this I think is so important too, the isolation. Because I didn't know what my son was going to do to other children. We stopped going to the park. We stopped going to Mommy and Me class at the library. We stopped going to the grocery store. We started going to the grocery store at 6 a.m. When most people weren't around. He didn't go to daycare, but had a sitter at home. I isolated him in order to keep other people safe. Can you imagine what it's like to be a mom and not be able to take your child to the park or have your child attend birthday parties or play dates? We aren't aware. And because she had to isolate her son, she had to isolate herself too. She watched from her window as other moms in the neighborhood sat in camp chairs and chatted while the children played. She couldn't join them because her son couldn't be around the other kids. It's just, we aren't aware of all of these issues. And she says, once we become aware, lawsuits like this won't happen. Why? Because instead of putting blue lights on our front porches, we will go outside with our kids and we will help them play together. Typically functioning kids and kids with autism, we will get to know our neighbors and embrace the kids with behaviors and embrace the parents along with them. We do need to be more aware, and we can.
Absolutely. On that note, we need to take a break. Our very special guest, Ava Lunn, is with us from Special Spirit Camp and Ranch. And we're going to be talking with her about the camp that they did this summer.
Right, and plans for an upcoming camp.
Absolutely.
And the work they do, the equine assisted therapy that they do that is so important. This is not just something for kids on the spectrum to just have a fun time. This has some very real therapeutic benefits that we're going to talk to you about.
Okay, so back after these messages.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Lisa Ackerman with Taka. my
Hi.
guest here.
I am Jennifer Lucero with Taka.
Taka Mom's here in the house. Jeff saw on a TV commercial, they were making calzones, and he looked at me and goes, Mom, please make me that. Wait a minute, yeah, calzone, you can't have calzone. He goes, well, you make me pizza. Why don't we call it a puzzone? So we're gonna do this ode to Jeff puzzone. So I'm gonna have Jen, come on in.
All right.
You're on charge.
Ready.
We're gonna add a little grapeseed oil, garlic, cut up chicken, finely cut up onion, and we're gonna throw a little bit of basil. So we're gonna just take about 5 minutes or so, saute up the chicken and all of the onions together. While Jen is slaving away at the stove, I'm gonna make the pizza crust. A lot of gluten-free choices that you have out there for pizza crust. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the dry. Again, I'm using eggs. There are a lot of egg replacers on the Taka website. We have about a dozen different ways to replace eggs. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my shortening. Calls for a little extra salt, which I'm gonna put in here. And also add a little pepper. And we also have herbs de Provence that gives the crust a nice Italian flavor. Can't forget the apple cider vinegar, organic stuff ready to go. Yes, I have all my ingredients. We're ready to rock with this mixer. And don't be afraid of dough. Dough doesn't bite. So here's what we'll be working with to make the puzzone. I'm ready to go. Let's get this party started. So what we're gonna do next is roll out the dough. I like to be rolling in the dough, but we're gonna roll out the dough instead. So let's go ahead and get started here with that. So again, you see me using the parchment paper all the time. Love this stuff. It's basically unbleached, ready to go. It's just gonna make life a lot easier on your rolling pin. You don't need to coat it or anything, which is a lot easier, but I swear I should buy that by the gross ton. So the puzzones, this basically makes 2 big puzzones. I'm gonna take half of the dough and roll it out. Half of the other dough will be for the other puzzone that we're gonna make in just a little bit. So you wanna do, you're not making a pie crust, you're kind of making a long oval shape. So we're gonna try to make a shape where I'm gonna basically roll this over with all the yummy fillings. And so any combination or variation thereof, this sauce, just real simple, is organic crushed tomatoes. I've added a little bit of salt and pepper and herbs de Provence in that as well, which I love. I like extra fresh basil. That's always yummy to have on your puzzone. And thank you, this turned out fantastic. So we're just basically building it the way that we want to eat it. Of course, my favorite rice-free, organic, dairy-free, soy-free cheese. It's gonna pop out the sides.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of popping out the sides. So that's the beauty of the parchment paper. Once you're done, you just flip it over and peel it back. So I'm just taking a fork now and going around the edges. It looks so pretty.
It looks really nice.
So for like 400 degrees, we're gonna go for about 25 minutes. You want it golden brown. And because we cooked everything pretty much already, you're not worried about not having everything fully cooked. So look how
Yum,
cute those look.
Looks great.
Like those 4 happy people right there. This
sure.
weighs a ton. So let's go to the magic oven. Pull out our finished product. And voila!
good.
Oh my
It
gosh,
looks
this
beautiful.
is so yummy. There's nothing better than a little Jeff Ackerman puzzone. And this is going to be nuclear hot, but we'll go ahead and cut it
Careful.
open so you can. Oh my gosh, this is going to taste so good
That
later
looks
on for
great.
your kids.
Yum.
Feedback, keep it coming. Thank you for helping, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us. Come back to Autism Live. We'll keep doing allergy-friendly cooking classes. If you have any suggestions or things that you would like to see us make, bring it on. You can reach us at autismlive@gmail.com or Facebook.
Love the Facebook.
I know, too much for me. Facebook, so facebook.com/autismlive, or thousands of Taka recipes ready to go. Basically go to Taka Now, TACANOW.org, and we'll see you next time.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hi, welcome to Camp Discovery, a free-to-play suite of fun, interactive learning games for kids 2 and up, designed by experts in autism. Camp Discovery will open your early learner to a world of new skills, shapes, numbers, colors, locations, emotions, and more. Let's get started.
Please choose a level.
Objects. First, Camp Discovery's Intelligent Preference Assessment determines your child's preferred reward for choosing correctly. Okay, got it. Let's play. Camp Discovery creates a motivating learning environment for your child by minimizing incorrect responses and maximizing successful ones.
Find the shoes.
Respond correctly and your child is rewarded with their favorite animations.
You did it.
Respond incorrectly and our unique prompting system guides your child to the correct answer by making it the largest choice.
That's not it. Try again. Way to go.
Continue to answer correctly and the size gradually reduces until the child makes the correct choice independently.
You win.
Success! Rewards motivate learning. Complete a round and your child is rewarded with a fun mini-game. Track your child's progress with easy-to-read graphs. Multiple settings options allow you to customize Camp Discovery to your child's unique needs. All this in one single app, the Camp Discovery app, available for free on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon Store.
And we are back with Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Shannon's taking a little break. She's got a bad cold and was having coughing attacks. Ava Lund, it is so nice to have you here from Special Spirit Inc.
It's great to be here.
You are a good friend of mine. I'm very connected with Special Spirit, being on the board, and also my son Wyatt rides there, and our horses,
yes, don't
Big
forget.
Moon and Jasper Mini Moon, are there doing equine assisted therapy with the kids. First and foremost, Ava, tell us what Special Spirit Inc. is.
Well, Special Spirit is an equine therapy center. We used horses for all kinds of therapy because they are so healing. They are very connected to us humans. They are really great with kids on the autism and special needs kids because they come with no agenda, and horses like that. So they are much calmer around these kids, and that's why they are so great for therapy. But apart from doing the therapeutic riding, we also do equine assisted learning and psychotherapy, which is on the ground when we use the horses and the arena as a metaphor for life. And we work with the group homes with foster kids, sober living, and also started with the veterans. And many in these groups are on the autism spectrum as well.
Okay, and when you work with the horses in the arena and on the ground, what kinds of things do you do with them?
We can come up with, for one of our camps, we actually did an equine assisted learning activity when we asked the kids to build the day, or the first day of school.
Okay.
You know, because it was in the end of August and
Right.
they were going to start school with that.
Right.
And they figured out, okay, there is an entrance, so they built an entrance with all the fences and the balls and stuff that there was in the arena. And then we asked them to find a way to connect and become one student. And we had all these balls, so they put the ball in between them and they become like a little centipede representing one student. And then they had to take the horses to school.
Okay.
And what happened? It was hard to get them in the classroom because psychologically they were rather having fun on the recess and in the cafeteria.
Right.
And then we can process things like that. We talk about it and stuff like that, you know.
Okay.
So they become metaphors.
Okay. And you also do crafts at the camp. You have
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think we have a picture, Kelby. Do we have a picture of the kids doing pottery? I think we have Wyatt doing
Well,
some
I was so
pottery.
fortunate-
And there we go. Look.
Yes.
There's
we
Wyatt
got,
painting a horse and some of the other kids. Yeah.
I got kilns and glazes donated, so we have sort of like a Color Me Mine studio for the kids.
Right.
And it's so, well, being creative, you know how good that is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good for all of us, actually.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
So you incorporate that into the program. And where are you located?
In Shadow Hills, which is a little area of Sunland right north of Burbank
Sunland, north of Burbank, California.
Airport, Burbank
Okay.
Airport, yeah.
Okay, but you have kids that come all around
Yes.
the greater LA
Yes.
area. I know we drive.
Well, we're very close to Hollywood, Glendale, Pasadena,
Right.
Burbank,
Uh-huh.
and North Hollywood, even Chatsworth and all those areas. So we're very local, you know, and which is very lucky to have a horse property so close to downtown. No
Yes, it
traffic,
is.
22 minutes to downtown.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Now you have done, you have an ongoing program
Totally, yes.
that kids can come and take lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And how can they connect with you if they're interested in doing the lessons? If somebody listening has a child with autism and they're interested in doing lessons,
They contact us and we set up an evaluation. Our evaluations are free.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that the child is going to take to the horses and that we have the appropriate horses and the appropriate tack for the children too. And also it's with a lot of autistic kids change. First time they come, they might be very sort of apprehensive about being around the horses, and
Right.
second time they come, it's sort of a little bit more it's a habit forming thing.
Right.
And so some kids, they can take 15 minutes to get them on a horse, and then third and fourth time they come running in, getting on the horse before we're even ready, you know.
Right, right.
So
and they can call you. Let's give them some information. The phone number is 323-428-5005. They can email you at info@specialspirit.org, and they can find you on the web at specialspirit.org. So that's very simple. Once again, 323-428-5005. Email info@specialspirit.org, and on the web at specialspirit.org. Now, I want to announce too that you are going to be doing the camp over the holidays.
Yes.
And Act Today will give grants to families for the camp. So they should go to your website, and what we'll do is you'll refer them to our website to fill out the grant application.
we're in the process of putting all that up
Okay.
on our website. Right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
So if you go right now and it's not up there, it will be soon.
Yes.
And are the camps going to have full and half day?
Yep. And one of the things too with our camps, we're all inclusive.
Right.
Because when it comes really down to it, we are all special. And, it's like we had camps this summer with about 15 kids, and half was on the autism Asperger spectrum and the other half was typical. And you could not tell who was who.
Right.
Because kids are kids,
Yeah.
and that's what we like to promote.
Right.
And so it's sort of like a very organic, normal environment for all. And there was both people with parents with special needs kids and parents with the typical kids that was a little bit sort of apprehensive about it. Kids sorted it out themselves.
Yeah,
We
and
didn't have to do anything.
I
But
also-
you were there with the
I
riot.
was there,
Yeah.
yes. And what I find is that some of the neurotypical kids, particularly the girls, really like to take care of. They're very nurturing.
Right, right.
And they oftentimes will latch onto one of the kids on the spectrum to really
Yeah.
help them. And they make friends. Wyatt made
Absolute-
friends with
yes.
another boy at the
Yeah.
camp. And after a while, I think there's a real sense of pride about you have them working with the horses, with grooming the horses
Yeah.
and the care of the horses, which is as important as the riding itself. Right?
And one of the things that the kids came up with all by themselves, we had a lemon tree.
Uh-huh.
And that was not part of our camp. But all the kids decided to pick lemons and make lemonade because it was warm. So it became another thing that they had to do. And it's also scientific because they had to measure.
Uh-huh.
And then they had to get the ice cubes and the sugar and the water. And they were very proud of it. And they even, when the parents came in the afternoon, they charged their parents for the lemonade.
great.
And then they split up all the dollars they got in between the whole group of campers. And I thought that was very entrepreneurial.
That very
Yes,
entrepreneurial.
yes.
Now, you have a personal connection with autism because otherwise, why, as a horsewoman, ranch owner,
Right.
did you get so involved in this? Tell us about that.
Jake, a really good friend of mine, Paul, him and my late husband were best of friends and
Okay.
worked together. And Paul's son, who is my godson, ended up being autistic, and today he's 22, and he's the most inspirational person that I have in my life. He has a heart of gold. He cannot lie, and he is, and he was the reason why we started this, because he loved the horses. And then Paul is now very involved. We want to sort of down the line start a wood shop that Paul is going, he's a contractor, and he wants to teach autistic kids, have them like an internship, teach
Right.
them a little bit about woodworking.
Okay.
And if they do good, he could actually hire them in his construction company.
And aren't you talking about opening up a tack store as well?
And the
to
tack
sell
store, yes.
saddles and various things?
Yes, and we would like them to run it
Uh-huh.
with supervision, of course,
Uh-huh.
and learn how to run a store, you know.
Right.
Here's $20, do you need $5 back? And, you know, let them handle it.
Right. Okay.
They
good.
are so, if we just give them a chance, they are so much more capable than just being in a group home. And
Right.
I think we really need to work on finding them situations where they can actually have a job.
Exactly.
I have some of the kids from another organization coming. They love cleaning the boots,
Uh-huh.
polishing boots.
Uh-huh.
They should work in a shoe shop.
Right.
You
right.
know, there is so many things that these
Well,
kids can do.
it's obviously something that is crucial right now
Mm-hmm.
because we have so many parents complaining about their children when they age out of high school and possibly they're
Mm-hmm.
not able to have a college placement. They're sitting at home. And,
And
this
they
is
shouldn't.
this is
They
criminal.
shouldn't. Yes, it is. I
we,
agree. Mm-hmm.
we have to find jobs for our young people on the spectrum, our young adults, and nurture them and find them living places where they can work and feel a part of the community.
I'm having a group coming on Saturday. They're going to come and do a job interview with me and find out what it takes to run a barn. And they are being taught through Joanne Lara.
Through Joanne Laura, yes, who is a friend of the show and has been on many times.
There are 4 kids that are going to come and ask questions about how to get a job in the horse industry.
Great.
So
That's
we're going to
great.
sort of talk to them, show them around, and teach them
Right.
basics.
Okay, so this is all great what you're doing at the ranch. Now, we had an exciting weekend because you had some of us volunteer, and Special Spirits was one of the, they were recognized as one of the charities for the LA Masters Horse Show.
Which is Longines, you know, the big...
Longines, the big watchmaker, and these were the creme de la creme of horses around
Oscars
the world.
of show jumping, I call it.
Show
you know.
jumping, Oscar caliber show jumping.
Yeah.
Kelby, I think I had one picture of a jumper going over a jump. You could see the size. I don't know if you can find it there, but it is just quite astounding.
Yeah.
The court. Look at that.
Yeah.
Would you look at the size of those jumps, right?
And you know, I had one of my kids went to this, who is on the spectrum. He now wants to start jumping.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Scares me
Okay.
a little bit, but you know,
All right,
we're going to
so
make it work.
You are now seeking next year
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of what they call the Pro-Am show jumping.
The charity show.
The charity
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
show. And there's some interest from some wonderful riders.
Well, through your connection.
Well, some Richard Spooner and Hannah
Mauritsen,
from
yes,
Sweden. I
from
think we have a
Sweden.
picture of you and Hannah, so, which Kelby will find and put
Yeah,
up.
there it is.
There it is. There's you and
Yeah.
Hannah.
She took third.
And she took 3rd, which is amazing.
Yes.
So a fellow Swede. And next year the goal is to get a big sponsor and to have 2 professional riders going in and competing and winning money for Special Spirits.
Yeah.
So anybody listening out there that would like to be a sponsor, we're going to be going out and seeking them, right?
Absolutely, yes. We might even get 2 sponsors, one for Act Today as well.
Okay, that
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
great. All right, well, you're doing such great work. The ranch is such a haven for Wyatt and for me. And thank you so much for being on the show, Ava.
Well, and I'd like to welcome all of your listeners and viewers to come out and visit.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to start riding or anything, I think it's very healing to be around the
Animals.
turkeys,
You have
chickens.
peacock. She has chickens, turkeys, mini dogs that my
Yes.
son adores.
Uh-huh.
And I think I'm wondering if we're bringing Shannon back on to say goodbye. Okay, so we're just going to keep you here for a minute then.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got more animals out at that barn.
Sometimes there's more animals than people, yes.
Yeah, why, and always little chicks that are being born. Wyatt's always like, "Can I go pick up the chicks?" And I'm like, "Well, if you can
Well,
chase them
here's
down."
another thing. We could take all the eggs and teach them how to make quiche.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah. Why not?
yes.
Why not? Or sell the eggs.
Sell the eggs,
Yeah.
yes.
And another thing I love about the ranch is you have it decorated with so many beautiful things. You had an artist that did a whole Dr. Seuss,
Yes.
theme.
Yeah.
And
We wanted that, the fun spirit of the barn, the childlike spirit to bring that out.
So those visuals are all over the barn, and they're so encouraging. And then your godson built a special totem.
Yes. That totem pole is what we call the emotional intelligence. It is respect, responsibility, relationship skills, boundaries, empathy, choices, and consequences. And every camp, we start with the totem pole, going through all the skills we're going to use. And then at the end of the day, we usually go through and see if we lacked or missed some of them that we have to take care of the following day.
So they're really getting a lot of social learning and, not just the therapeutic riding. It's a lot of the social skills.
Absolutely. And horses are very social animals too, and they bring that out in us, I think.
Well, I encourage you all to go visit Special Spirit. Call Ava at 323-428-5005, info@specialspirit.org. Thank you, my friend, for coming.
Thank you.
We had such a great time.
Yes.
And as Shannon would say, give your kiddos a hug from me, and I say, give yourselves a hug from me.